Thank you, Secretary Asbell. Once the rehabilitation of the council house is complete, the Muscogee Creek Nation will begin to transform the inside of the council house so that it can be used as an educational resource that will, for the first time since 1906, cohesively present the history, context, and present-day operations of the Muscogee Creek Nation tribal government. The history of the Muscogee Nation during the council house era will be presented alongside contemporary government functions to remind visitors that the council house represents a people who thrived in this place in the latter part of the 19th century, but who also continue to exist and thrive in the 21st century. The council house will be a historic site, but it will also be an active government building where the current principal chief and national council can once again hold official government meetings where the public can attend. Exhibits will be interwoven with past and present elements to paint a portrait of the ways in which the council house era of governance is still preserved, and elements of that era remain a vital part of contemporary Muscogee government functions. The exhibits will address the diversity of cultural and political identities within the Muscogee Nation and the discussions and conflicts that arose within the nation over how to decide the fate of Muscogee land, lifeways, and traditional forms of governance during a turbulent period when the Muscogee culture and sovereignty was under attack. We would like to educate Muscogee citizens as well as visitors about the historic legacy of the Muscogee Creek Nation, not just here in Okmulgee, but throughout the nation's territory that spans an 11-county area within the state of Oklahoma. Visitors will be invited to interact with the objects and interactive elements in the exhibits, as this helps deepen their understanding of the messages we are trying to convey. This will not be a museum in its traditional sense, as there will be minimal use of cases. Instead, we will provide replicas and objects that can be touched and utilized within this space. We want visitors to know that Muscogee people defied stereotypical understandings of Native peoples during this period by running their own schools, creating a large body of written records that reflect their ability to regulate business and government affairs, codify laws and enforce them through a system of courts that were run exclusively by Muscogee people, develop systems of care to provide for their young, elderly, and disadvantaged, and define and defend their borders and citizens, just to name a few things. This is not by any means an exhaustive list of functions that were carried out in the council house, but it represents the range of functions the council house government played between 1878 or 1868 really and 1906. We have future plans to build a visitor center for the council house that will serve as a supplementary space for additional exhibits, community gathering spaces, collection storage for items that reflect and help tell the story of the Muscogee people, and a research space where visitors can engage with the museum and archival collections to learn more about Muskogee and Southeastern American Indian cultures. Thank you very much for your time. We started with the architects, so that's the Seltzer Schaefer Architectural Firm and Walter Sedovic Architects, and really going into just kind of addressing some of the structural issues that needed to be taken care of with the building, as it is an old building. And I guess maybe backing up before that in the planning process, deciding what was going to happen with this building. And we knew it had served as a museum for many years, and it's just not the best structure in terms of serving as a museum, holding collections and things like that, because it's really a museum piece in and of itself. From 1878, against the only pre-statehood structure that the Muscogee Creek Nation owns. So we really wanted to do it the honor we really felt like it deserved. And so our plan had been to turn it into a historic site and reinterpret it so that it told the story of what happened there when this was the seat of the Muscogee government between 1868 and 1906, when there was an attempt to terminate the Creek Nation by the federal government. That's kind of what we decided upon for that. It will certainly be a tourist destination, and it will, when I say it's not a museum in its traditional sense, it does, what I mean is there still will be a few cases for original objects, but we really want to have visitors interact with the things in the council house when they come to visit. For example, we're working with some folks that want to kind of convert some old desks, some period desks, into cases, so you can still sit down at the desk. You can see what maybe the chiefs were working on at the time. We're going to be getting replicas of original documents from the Creek National Records, which is what we're primarily relying on for the research to develop what goes into on the inside of this of the council house. And so you'll also see things like the school. There was a school that was operated out of the council house through the Board of Education when it was functioning as the seat of the Creek government. We'll be talking about the Light Horsemen and the role they played, the Supreme Court, of course the justice system, the executions and the whippings and lashings and things like that, but that's really more of the justice system, and among other things, but also what the other committees of the House of Kings and House of Warriors, the types of things they were dealing with, and of course allotment, the different rebellions that occurred within the Creek Nation, like the Green Peach War and Chitoharjo Rebellion and things like that. So.
You know, we've been working on this for 4 years, and the nation bought it in 2010, and the former group was in there to about 2003, or 2013. And so about 4 years we've been working on it, and it's been empty for 4 years. So it's time to get people back in the building and get this restoration going. Sure. So you know, this is basically a $3.5 million project. The original, about a little over $200-something was appropriated for the architects. We got about $2.2 million from the National Council from appropriation. So you can do the quick math and realize that we're $1 million short, and that's where the historic tax credit came in. And you know, we went through the entire process. It was an arduous process, very complex for a non-tax-paying entity to be able to create a system where you can actually qualify for tax credits. And I think we're the first Indian tribe that I know of that's ever done it. I think University of Central Oklahoma or Oklahoma City University had done it on their law school. And so we knew there was a model out there for us to succeed. It's just willingness to go through that process. And we're lucky enough to have One Fire and Kodak because, you know, even though you get a tax credit, $1 million, it's usually on the back end. So you're still $1 million short from a construction standpoint. So they were able to give us a construction bridge loan during this process, basically interest-free, just to get the process done, and they will monetize those tax credits at the end, and it'll be a net for the Muscogee Nation for $1 million. So the construction cost is $3.5 million, but we also have about a $500,000 cost to develop the programmatic scope for the inside. Usually you'd like to have all those funds at one time, and you can develop those concurrently. In this situation, obviously with the funding situation that we had to get unique on that aspect as well, and we applied for a grant through the National Endowment for the Humanities. And one of the recent articles that I read was the NEH, along with NEA and a lot of other arts associated funding from the federal government are on the chopping block. So it's very concerning. I'm actually heading to DC later this afternoon to be a part of the self-governance negotiations, and those are some of the things we're going to be bringing up, that it has a negative effect on Indian country when they cut those funds, and it's disconcerting. You know, I think what we've done in Muscogee is we've embraced each other. The Muscogee Main Street and Chamber of Commerce, the City Council has embraced what Creek Nation can bring to this community. And I think as a nation, we've embraced what the community can bring to us. And what we want to do is we really want to create a cultural mecca in downtown Muscogee, so that we have tourists, visitors flocking to downtown, creating almost like a mini Santa Fe, so that our artists, our artisans, our business folks can come and profit off that and engage in cultural sharing, and so that people can learn about the Muscogee Creek Nation. And we believe that cultural tourism is a $1 billion industry, and I think the nation needs to tap into that, and the local community can tap into that as well.